Hello and welcome to the very first episode of a brand new show brought to you by Everjobs Bangladesh called eKO, Education, Knowledge, Opportunity. So what is Everjobs and what is eKO? Well, Everjobs is an online careers portal which is helping you bridge the gap between employers and job seekers, giving you the ultimate career opportunity. Now, as for eKO, why are we here? What are we doing? And what is this show all about? Well, eKO is to give you knowledge, education, and also opportunity. It's the most fundamental aspect, bringing together different industries in every episode to teach you all about professions that exist here in Bangladesh. Now, it's very important to understand that in Bangladesh, there are so many different opportunities, but the issues we face here in Bangladesh is the fact that when you ask a person the question, so when you grow up, what do you want to become? The issue we face is, oh, I want to be a doctor, I want to be an engineer. But we want to take that away. We want to take that away, that idea away. That's so much more out there here in Bangladesh. Now, before I introduce our guest on the show, I have a very, very important announcement which I'd like to make, which is that Everjobs Bangladesh has given you the chance with eKO to be able to communicate directly live with our guest on the show, because every episode will focus on a different industry. Now, when it focuses on a different industry, you might have a burning question which you'd like to ask our guest on the show. So you'll need to go on to www.everjobs.com.bd/eKO, and you'll be able to ask a question live in studio, which I'll be able to address directly on your behalf to our guest. Now, to bring you to our wonderful guest on our first episode of eKO. She's done so much for the young generation, especially for the education sector especially. So I'd like to introduce our very first guest on eKO, Rasheda K. Choudhury. It's a pleasure having you on board here on eKO. Thank you for coming.
Thank you so much. Thanks for inviting me.
Before I begin talking further about that, I'd just like to introduce our audience members who are all from BRAC University. So it's an absolute privilege having them on the show. Can you tell me and tell the audience and tell the viewers, our lovely viewers, what you do and a bit about your past and history?
Well, thank you. And thanks to Boishakhi for inviting me. And thanks to all these young people. They're the ones who have always been inspiring me, young people, particularly in this country. They are passionate, they are lively, they have all the dreams for the future. So this is where you look forward to have. When I was born in a middle class but kind of a aristocrat family, but when I started to know about this world, to learn about society, everything, that was okay, because I never experienced anything of any discrimination, what is now called gender discrimination. Being born in a family as a girl or a girl child, I never faced that kind of discrimination. So I started my education, continued till the university, and immediately after the university, and by the way, I was the generation that was there for the liberation struggle. Oh, okay. I was just, a first year student at the university. So we boycotted our university classes that time because of, in protest against the Pakistani atrocities. And many of our friends went to India, we were here helping. But after the liberation war, when I graduated from the university, then I had my master's, and then I joined a an research institution, which also I suppose the BRAC University students here know, because their university has a special focus on research. A research institution. Then somebody from Harvard University, graduate student, came for doing her PhD dissertation thesis. And she was studying, looking at gender discrimination, if it was there, within the primary school textbooks. And that was kind of a spark, because I never experienced any gender discrimination anywhere, particularly within the family. But when I looked at the textbooks with her, because she, trained me how to look at a research project analytically with an objective mind. And then I discovered that there are many things, many issues, many topics within the textbooks, primary schools, primers, I should say, Bengali primers, showing and inculcating that kind of values within a child that, okay, this is the mother, this is the father. Father always has the upper hand. Mother doesn't have anything to say, etc. That created that kind of a spark within me that, well, I have to work for these people, these underprivileged groups. And that's how I started looking for not exactly a career as typical, career, job, going for the career ladder, etc., but working with the grassroots communities. That's how I started my career as an NGO or development worker. And that's the way, I'm
So
here.
how would you encourage people who want to follow in your footsteps to kind of go down that? Because I know there are a lot of people who are often not fully understanding the whole NGO sector, what it's all about. When it comes to Bangladesh, it's a nation where there's so much that is happening in a very negative context. A lot of people need that sort of help and support. But when you're looking at individuals who are passionate about the NGO sector but don't necessarily know how to approach it, what sort of advice would you give to them from your experience?
Well, from my experience, because I still think I'm learning, and particularly learning from these young people.
Oh, we learn every day,
Every
we never
day
stop
of
learning.
your life. So this is where I suppose if we coin it just like as NGO sector, non-government organization, actually we are known by what we are not. This is non-government. This is a book, this is not a pencil, this kind of thing. So that's how NGO sector is known. But the thing is, the NGOs, the people who are really committed and passionate, they want to do something about the society, whatever resources they have. Like, for example, I stayed for weeks in the rural areas of Bangladesh. When I started actually my career as a development worker, I never expected anything that, out of the blue, that this is what is going to happen. I thought if I could really learn from these people, the first, I suppose, lesson is that you don't think of yourself as a teacher, as somebody who is going to teach people something, but rather the other way around. You have the attitude of learning from people.
Of course.
That's how I have learned so much from rural people. Even natural things like don't actually waste water. If, for example, if you drink just half a glass of water, just one of you, the rest of the water, just think of 16 crore people in Bangladesh. That means 80 million glasses of water being wasted every moment that you drink water. So this kind of thing I have learned from rural people. Don't waste anything. Go ahead, have your dreams, and don't forget to continue dreaming.
Of course.
This is important.
I think we learn a lot from especially
Our
people
people,
from from the rural areas, because they're facing struggle, they're going through a lot of hardship and a lot of challenges.
One thing you have said, that there are so many negative aspects that we have been looking at. But I think whatever Bangladesh has achieved so far, it's because of the people.
Oh, of course.
People have made that kind of a difference. When we had our liberation, we had half the number of people that time. We now, our population has doubled, but we are producing with the same number of people almost, they are there, but with limited
And the thing
less amount of land.
When you say it's done by the people, it's sometimes really hard to echo that message to everybody, that actually
That's right.
people who took us from 1971 to the present time, who have made such a difference here in Bangladesh. But there are still people who still don't fully believe in themselves to go out and follow their dreams or follow their passion or make a difference. So what would you do, what would you say to encourage them who are really have low self-esteem to go out and pursue a career?
I think looking at all those achievements that Bangladesh has these days particularly, and looking at the factors that made it happen. Like, for example, we have achieved gender parity at the primary and secondary level of education in Bangladesh. Many underdeveloped countries or less developed countries have not yet achieved it. In a so-called traditional, country, Muslim majority country, etc., we have achieved that. We have achieved this immunization I was listening, or rather reading what was it, Newsweek, abroad a plane, that was showing how Bangladesh is progressing, that the proportion of children immunized in the city of New York is less than the proportion of children immunized in Bangladesh.
Yeah.
So that means Bangladesh is progressing. But who is making that difference? Of course, political leaders are there. They are committed to develop this country and this nation. But people are at the field level making a difference. And that's where I suppose we have to look for. Where is this spark in your heart, in your mind? You have to learn from your head, but you have to follow your heart. That's the message I would like to give.
I really like that message, you know, to really follow your dreams, to go out there and to make something happen, whichever industry it is. You know, we're talking about NGOs here, but I say this message can be echoed to every single individual in Bangladesh, and for whoever wants to follow whatever career passion they have. So I say you take the words and you're able to express that in the best of your desire, because it really will help you spark, help you grow. One of the key things I've discovered during my time with Everjobs Bangladesh is the fact that the NGO sector, especially here in Bangladesh, is not offering enough opportunities in terms of jobs, in terms of careers, because from statistical numbers, we have very little, limited amount of job opportunities. Why is that? Why do you think that is?
One is, I suppose, two major limitations of NGOs. By the way, I have never created an NGO. I have been working for them, actually. One of the coalitions network that I represent. It's an education association. So the major limitations, one of the major, I should say, that NGOs have, is that they don't have regular flow of income. And definitely we don't want NGOs to become business ventures. They should follow their development ethics. Even if they are going for commercial enterprise, but any kind of profit should be plowed back to development, not to go to anybody's pocket as profit.
Of course.
So that's where the limitation is, resource constraints. The other one is many NGOs, very credible ones, are dependent on external funding. And as you know, external funding have their pros and cons, because they have this kind of agenda that you have this program, this project, and then you have this limited number of job opportunities, etc., etc. Number three is that because these days NGO sector started with a voluntary mission, I should say, but nowadays most of the young people, I should say, they are looking for a jobs with a very good career, with a career path, etc. But NGOs can't provide that kind of career path because of resource constraints and because of their dependency on external funding. But that doesn't mean that you can't work with NGOs or NGOs don't have. You have to have that kind of a passion for working for the people, with the people. So that is important. If you really have that passion, it's easier said than done, because I'm looking for a job, I need some income. Then you can't go for just everything voluntary. You need something to sustain your everyday needs, etc. But the thing is, it should not be that kind of a value that I'm going for a career path only for earning some income. That
should be more than that.
Should be more than that. And we expect from young people. Young people are supposed to be, struggling, but at the same time with the passion and the dream.
No, they're very vibrant.
Yeah, that's right.
They've got a lot of determination, a lot of courage as well.
Exactly.
And it's something that I've seen just traveling around Bangladesh.
Exactly.
And yeah, it just needs to be kind of nurtured. I would say,
nurtured,
in the
stimulated, yes, exactly.
Of course.
So I'd like to, maybe they could show us some,
Oh, of course.
of
That will
some
come.
of their dreams, etc.
Definitely, definitely. Well, if you'd like to have a career within an NGO, you've got all the opportunities available on Everjobs Bangladesh website at www.everjobs.com.bd. So you can sign up and apply if you wish to have a career within the NGO. At this moment in time, we'll be taking our first ad break. So we hope to have you back here on eKO straight after the ad. Welcome back to eKO. As we are discussing with our very, very well-renowned guest, Rasheda K. Choudhury, regarding the NGO sector, her work and involvement within the NGO sector. She's done so much for the young generation and with regards to education, and we've learned so much from you just from the past 15 minutes on the show. So before I begin talking further about that, I'd just like to introduce our audience members who are all from BRAC University. So it's an absolute privilege having them on the show. We'll be later on just asking each and every one of them to any questions they have to address to you. They'll be addressing. So this should be a fun and exciting moment to hear directly from the youth more about what they have, the burning questions they have for you. Now, going back to the NGO sector, there are certain aspects or certain questions that I have regarding career-wise. Now, what would you say are the most attractive kind of jobs for people wishing to go into the NGO sector? What would you say is the most attractive?
Okay, those who are privileged to study in universities, because I start with community groups.
Of course.
They don't even have children with university degrees. But I should say they are privileged. They had the opportunity to study in a renowned private university. So they should be looking for jobs where they could really use their knowledge, their skills, their training in the university for the betterment of people. For example, they could go for research profession, because I would say in many Bangladeshi NGOs or even international NGOs working in Bangladesh, they're looking for consultants or researchers to do basic fundamental research for even, for example, like baseline service, because they start working in an area. There is really a dearth of people, professional people in that area. So they should be looking for that. The other area I should say is this monitoring and evaluation of NGOs' own programs, because they have been doing their work in the field with the, many kind of perspectives like human rights, etc. But those who are funding them, like the donors, they are now interested in value for money. And how do you explain it, value for money? Unless you know how to monitor a program or a project, whether this is really affecting the people they are targeting.
Sure.
So this kind of courses, if they could come up with or train themselves, monitoring and evaluation of NGO programs, even government is looking for those kind of people or experts. For example, government is sometimes dependent on external consultants from other countries. But we have not yet been able to produce very many numbers of
Why is that? Why do you think that
researchers
is?
or professional researchers.
Because it's not to say that people of Bangladesh don't have that sort of knowledge or have
Or
that sort
capacity,
of
yes.
capacity, exactly.
Yeah, I understand that. But the very focus of our education system is to go for jobs, traditional jobs, banking,
Yeah.
Commercial background. And this has created kind of a vacuum, actually. Nowadays, we are struggling within the education system to bring in more graduates into science, electronics, etc. Because there was a craze about, MBA, BBA, this kind of, because they were providing jobs. So our whole education system is geared to, what should I say, job orientation, than to have real profession, produce and develop professionalism, how to be a good researcher, how to do analytical programs. Even NGOs sometimes are looking for people who could really develop project proposals for funding. And that's why English communication skill is so important. Because most of the donors are from other countries. They speak mostly English. French is even better if there could be multilingual background. So that is important. Traditional NGO jobs are for the field, going to the field, working with the people, then reporting back, etc. But if you are courageous, adventurous enough, then you could go for more research, monitoring, evaluation. NGOs are now really looking for this kind of expertise within the, I shouldn't say expertise because we don't expect them to be experts, but at least becoming professionals
Of course.
in these areas.
So as you just heard, there are many opportunities that exist within the NGO sector. You can choose to work in the field, or as she said, if you're adventurous and courageous, you can try many other things as well within the research field, etc. To really push yourself to make a difference here in Bangladesh, because without you, the nation won't evolve, the nation won't grow. And there's a very interesting point you raised about how it's becoming vacuumed, the career industry, especially when you're focusing on banking, especially sales and marketing. Because when being with Everjobs, I realized that it's actually one of the core industries that are getting so many applications, job applications, and which is the purpose of eKO. The fact that we're trying to promote industries that require awareness, that these are the opportunities that exist here in Bangladesh for the people of Bangladesh. And it's a wake-up call, more of a wake-up call for them to understand that this is what's present, this is what's out there. So it's very important. Now, one question I had for you was the challenges they would face. When you're talking about individuals who are passionate about the NGO sector and wish to have a career in there, what sort of challenges would they face, and how would they overcome these challenges?
Although I should say the NGO sector is much more
It's very broad.
open, broad, particularly in terms of social justice, in terms of gender justice even. But most of the time, the job seekers, those who are seeking jobs within the NGO sector, particularly girls, they face actually reservation or opposition from the family itself. Because most of the NGO jobs are in the field initially. You have to learn from the field. You have to
So
communicate
they don't let them
with
go
people.
out, or?
Yeah, this is typical. And there are also issues and challenges related to the security of girls.
But how would you
these days.
address this situation? Because this is pretty much echoes for so many people who are kind of trapped in that sort of situation, who wish to have a career but are being told either by society or by parents or by even culture telling them, no, you have to be restricted, laid back to fulfill your passion, and they're limited. What would you say in regards to that?
One is to have the confidence in yourself, and the other one is to be, cautious. That,
in what way?
Cautious in the sense, when there are avoidable risks, you don't go into that risk.
Okay.
You have to calculate your steps. Even when you are becoming an NGO worker, when you go to the field, don't go out in the evenings or go in groups. And be friendly with the people themselves, because then the people will protect you. If they get friendly, if they really know that you are there for them, then it is important for them also to protect you. This is one, particularly for girls. But also for boys, I suppose, is to look for new ideas, because NGOs are really open to ideas. If there are students or young people who could give new ideas, how to reach out to those groups, for example, or how to really make a difference in that particular community where there may not be even a school, primary school. How to reach out to those communities, make them aware. So be adventurous, but at the same time, cautious with your steps. And the first principle, as I started with this, that not thinking of yourself as an expert, but thinking of yourself as a partner of these people. They know much more than I do. I always used to think like this, particularly in terms of traditional wisdom. They have a store of knowledge there. All these so-called illiterate, ignorant people of Bangladesh, they have. I don't know how many crops grow in a year in a particular area. I have a vague idea. They know. I don't know. So, but this is very important, particularly for young people from middle class families, because they are not, it's not their lapses or gap. We have created that gap from them. They are not so much exposed to rural realities or the hard realities of life, most of them. So they have to have that attitude of, learning from everywhere, from everybody.
Definitely.
May not have to be the supervisor all the time.
Okay. Well, now we come to the part of the show which is actually very exciting. We get to introduce our students who have been sitting wonderfully in the audience, and this is now, the floor is open to you to ask your question with whatever you've learned from our guest on the show. It's up to you to ask, and whether you want to be going into the NGO sector or not. So any question you have, it will be great if you can express. Please do introduce yourself, your name and the question.
My name is Saiduzaman Dipro. As we got to learn that non-government organizations are helping a lot to the village people, to the people who are less comfortable with less getting help from the others. So basically, pursuing after not pursuing for the career, if I want to be an entrepreneur and working, making an NGO, so what are the opportunities we'll be having in this industry?
Well, there are lots of opportunities, but I would like to actually differ with you in the sense that making an NGO may not be possible at this point of time, because you will be needing resources to invest which may not give you the return immediately. So you have to get ready for that. So this is rather than making an NGO, working with a credible NGO will be much better source of knowledge and inspiration and even income from young people like you. Let me give you one example. If you want to go to a very remote area in a coastal area, they will be happy to place you there. But then if you start learning and if you have that entrepreneurial mind, then you could even propose to your employer that we could start this kind of a project, maybe a fisheries project, maybe a poultry one, maybe something else, maybe a mobile servicing or an ICT related one. You could develop yourself the idea, but try to sell it to your employer. They may be getting that idea because they are also looking for ideas from young people. So that is important.
And one more question before we go for a break. I think we can squeeze one in.
As people are going for jobs and internships in this era, so my question is that do social media jobs and internship plays important role for applying for jobs in NGOs?
Yeah, if you asked that question 3 years back, I would have hesitated to respond to your question. But nowadays, yes, of course, because this is an area opening in the NGO sector, because they are like looking forward to have young people, to help them, even set up their Facebook page, for example. Because other than that, you can't operate these days. Most of the NGOs, they also need to sell, they also need to market their products or their programs or projects to people all over the world. So this is where they're looking for expertise and experience. And if young people are interested, that will be even better. Because NGO sector started immediately after, I suppose, liberation war with rehabilitation, and then with development, then human rights, decades of actually of development. Now they're looking forward to have or use ICT for development. That opportunity is there.
Well, we will now go to another break. So do come back to stay tuned for eKO. Welcome back to eKO, which is presented by Everjobs Bangladesh. Now, we were discussing a lot, as you say, about the NGO sector. We had a few questions from our audience. But before we continue the session, I have one very special announcement, which is specially linked for you. yes, you, the viewers at home, have the chance to be a part of, to be on the show very soon, in actually episode number 4. What we are offering is actually an exclusive Everjobs internship opportunity. So you see this next to me, this briefcase next to me, which actually is providing you a live internship opportunity, which you'll be handed here live in studio. So in episode number 4, and you can get applying for this exclusive job opportunity which we are providing at Everjobs. You'll also get yourself a smartphone and many other gadgets and gears which we are throwing in as well. So if you want to have this chance and to apply, please do go on to www.everjobs.com.bd/eKO and start applying. Right. Okay, to continue our session, we have the wonderful students from BRAC University. Yes, please do. Who's next to ask a question?
Hello ma'am, I am Najwa Shimin Tui. My question to you is, do employees at NGOs place a lot of importance on intrinsic values from the job?
It's a very good question because, well, when you talk about values, there could be different, connotations of values. What do you mean by intrinsic values? But the people who will be entering or already there within the NGO sector, they are supposed to be actually promoting, understanding the values that promote human rights, that promote congenial environment atmosphere within the workplace, within the family itself, and then you be a part of it. Don't be somebody teaching or showing something or demonstrating something, but be a part of it. Be a promoter of values. Follow your heart. That is one thing that we say. But don't forget your head to judge actually objectively that what is right and what is wrong. And because young people could lead the world. And let me tell you one thing just to remind you that any movement in Bangladesh that created ultimately this country, Bangladesh, actually led by the students' movement all the time. 69, 52, 71, 69, all the movements.
So they hold the power,
So
they hold the key.
They hold the key, they hold the power.
You should feel very proud of yourself already that as students you've got so much authority right now. So yes, there's one very important point which you made, being a promoter of good values. I really love that point. I think this needs to be shared amongst Bangladesh, that when you are an individual who wants to follow a dream, wants to follow a desire, you also have to understand that it is great following your dream, following your passion, but you also need to stay a little reserved and understand the situation around you. When you're promoting good values, when you're sharing good ethos, when you're sharing good knowledge with everybody, everyone learns, everyone grows, and it's betterment for society as well. I think we can squeeze in one more question from our audience members. Yep.
Hello ma'am, I'm Sayeda Faria Haq Mimi. There is a very common concern among us that what is more important between education and experience. So my question is, in development sector, what adds more value among between this education or experience?
I suppose the question will be both, but you can't have experience when you start your career. You have to learn and then you gather experience. So education is very, very important. So you have heard about Nelson Mandela's that famous quote, that education is the tool that can change the face of the earth. So this is one thing, that education never undermines or undervalues anybody, any individual. So this is one, but experience you have to gather. And don't think of gathering experience from a professional source. Think of it every day, every moment of your life. You learn, you gather experience, maybe from somebody who never had any education, but he or she knows what life is all about. So this is important. Learn from your family, from your parents, particularly grandparents. This is part of our value system. Respect and learn from the elders.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
I think the importance of sharing knowledge, once again, I think it's a fundamental factor which we all need to embrace, which we all need to really to echo around our families, around our societies, amongst our own people, and it's very, very important. I think we do have enough time for one more. I think someone else can.
I'm Nusrat Jahan. Ma'am, you have already talked about the jobs and opportunities of jobs in NGOs. So I want to know more about the prospects of job enhancement in NGO sectors.
It's possible because as NGOs have been also evolving. As I have told you, in the decade of 70s, NGOs focused on rehabilitation in this country. Then in the decade of 80s, on development. 90s, human rights. Now, it's, this new millennium, we are focusing on justice, climate justice, even going for public interest litigation. So the area is so vast, and they are evolving, so you can also evolve, maybe before you start a career within the NGO sector. But it itself is evolving. I don't say enhancing, but evolving every day, like the social media. It is a new area, but you can't just avoid it. So you have to be part of it, within it. So this is what NGOs are also learning. As NGOs expect their, we don't call them workers or whatever, but we say development workers. They should also be learning and know how to evolve with time, with the needs of the people and the needs of the time.
There's a lot of message that was shared by our students from Brack University. I'd like to say thank you for being present on the show. Before we close the show, before we close eKO, I just want one final words of wisdom for our beautiful viewers at home. What would you say to them who have that burning desire for a career within an NGO?
Well, start your career with the passion, with the commitment, and with the values that respect human rights, that respects democracy. So that is very important. So you start learning from everybody around you, everything around you. That should be the attitude, and be ready to face any situation. It may not be a rosy path, but it could be a challenging path from which you can learn, you can prosper.
Well, the final message there was to learn again once from others, and to just follow your passion, follow your dream. And if you are willing to get into the NGO sector, you need to be able to study it. You need to be able to learn about it. You can do work in the field. Or if you're very charismatic and ambitious, you can do many other aspects of the NGO industry as well. We do have plenty of job available for the NGO industry if you're willing to get involved on www.everjobs.com.bd. So please do sign up and apply now. And to really wrap up the show, if you would like more advice and more career guidance regarding any sort of industry, it doesn't have to be the NGO, it can be whatever it is you are passionate about, whatever it is you want to do. We have a lot more information available on our job journal on the website. That's www.everjobs.com.bd/job-journal. So please do tune in next week where we'll be introducing another guest on our show on eKO, and it'll be talking about a different industry which potentially could benefit you. And we are going live. That's the most important thing. We are going live where you'll be directly able to ask our guest on the studio questions, which will be coming to me on my computer, which I'll ask on your behalf. And one final point is, if you really want to apply for the internship opportunity we are providing and get your hands on a smartphone, on all the goodie bags that we have at Everjobs, then please do apply on www.everjobs.com.bd/eKO. Thank you for tuning in to eKO, and we hope to see you again next week.